Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to be having this conversation with a dear friend and a very important person for the launch of our fair, which is upcoming. I'm delighted to welcome Ashish Gupta. Ashish, welcome. And I'm sure you'll have so many words of wisdom to share about your journey and about things that you've done, and also especially about being the co-founder and trustee at Ashoka University and Plaksha University. So yes, we'd love to hear you a little bit.
It's a pleasure to be here, Arjun. Thank you so much.
Hey, so, what I've been thinking of, and most of our young audience members are mostly high school kids, and also people in the audience are school counselors, educators, and even college admissions people who are visiting and attending this fair. There are two parts of this conversation which I wanted to sort of focus on. One was getting to know you a little bit better and your academic journey and even your idea of finding purpose in life and different things that you've done, right from starting a company, working at a best consulting firm like McKinsey, and then even working at the leadership position at an eValue serve. So what are the different things that you feel are important to you? So it's all yours, the floor is yours. So that's the first part. And the second part would be more about your interest in education and universities.
Sure. So maybe we can start out with the kind of a question answer session. I mean, that might help it. So you want to start with the first question?
Yeah, sure. So if you were to look at your education and then leading up to different things that you've done, till the time you decided to find a bigger, larger purpose of setting up universities, how would you sum that part of your journey?
Arjun, I would say that, I've really been blessed in life. And, from where one starts and where one ends, you never know how things pan out. But I think the defining moment for me in my journey, the first defining moment would have been when I got through IIT Delhi, right? And that experience at IIT Delhi was just nothing short of magic. And in fact, that was part of the inspiration to start Ashoka University, because we wanted to recreate that kind of a magic, 15, 20 years into our career. And then subsequently, I got the opportunity to go to Carnegie Mellon for my MBA. And then very late, a funny story is when I was applying to business school from IIT, and Harvard Business School actually dinged me and said, look, you need to go out and get some experience and then come back. So I essentially went back after 24 years. So in 2016, then I applied to Harvard for an executive course, and I said, look, now I have 24 years of experience. Would you take me now? So, and they took me in 2016. But throughout this journey, I think it's just been fantastic, and the value of education and the value of being grounded in the latest state of the art thinking and understanding the purpose of education and what it means for your career and for society. I think those have been the hallmarks throughout my educational journey.
Great. There's also this other fact that not many people know about you. And in your career, you've also been awarded as the founder of the KPO in India, or the most innovative sort of entrepreneur. So, and how is that connected to your interest in making knowledge more accessible and less expensive for everyone in the work that you do today at Benori?
Yeah, I don't think there is any, there's just a sequence to it, right? So I was, after finishing off my MBA at Carnegie Mellon, I had always wanted to come back to my own country. So, and we are talking about the mid 90s, and pretty much nobody used to do that at that point in time. Now, of course, things are different, right? I came back, and obviously all my friends and everybody's uncle told me that you're making the biggest mistake of your life. And I used to tell them that, look, 10 years from now, all of you would be calling me and telling me to get you a job in India, right? And that's exactly what happened. So I think my association with knowledge and insights and research started when I got lucky enough to get into McKinsey in the late 90s. And then after that, I co-founded eValueServe, and um, you know, in 2002 was the time when one marquee investor had come from Silicon Valley, and they were saying that, aren't you another BPO? Because you do offshoring of work and all of that. So I said, no, we are not a BPO. Then he says, what are you? I said, we are, and I was stuck, right? So I said, no, we are into knowledge and knowledge process, and we sort of outsource the knowledge process. So we are a KPO. So that was a birth. So, education and knowledge and so on. And even now, last 2.5 years, I have my new startup called Benori Knowledge, which is also doing the similar kind of work, which is in the space of research and insights and analytics. Ultimately, it all comes down to knowledge, and you can have, depending on how lucky and fortunate you are in life, you can be on the pyramid of knowledge. Ultimately, you have some data as the base of the pyramid, then you have some insights, and beyond insights you have some knowledge, and beyond knowledge is wisdom. So all of this thing has always excited me, and that is why my interest in education as well, and setting up universities as well.
Excellent. I've been also following your work, not just as a friend, but also seeing how you've reinvented yourself almost every 5 years and doing interesting things. So that's really inspiring for young people who are listening in. What do you think would be the goal of the education institutions you've been part of, and have you seen it change over a period of time? Ashoka has almost been around for 10 years, and so has now Plaksha, with all the inception, the planning, and the launch due in the first intake coming in 2021. What is it that you've seen in the industry in general?
So if I may just paraphrase your question, are you asking how has education and universities changed over this time frame?
Absolutely. Yep. And what are your views on the role of educators or institutions?
See, overall, definitely, I think especially in India, education has changed a lot, and higher education has changed a lot over the last 10, 15 years. I think in the US and the developed world, probably they were already there, and a lot of the developments happened in the last century. But as far as India is concerned, I think just like in all other sectors as well, but definitely in education, I think we have started now aligning ourselves to the aspirations and dreams and almost the foolish courage of the younger people. As you might remember, sometimes in the earlier days, there used to be a disconnect between a person's potential and their aspirations and what the educational institution was able to groom them for, right? There used to be this massive disconnect. But if you look at the younger people today, I mean, not only are they aspirational, they are foolishly courageous, and also I think there is just the sheer amount of compassion and understanding for their role in society, and their role in terms of giving back to our country. I mean, that appreciation is deep and wide. So educational institutions have to be able to harness this potential and unleash it in some ways. So whether it's in Ashoka, definitely it's at Plaksha, we are trying to create ecosystems and almost reimagine. In fact, at Plaksha, our foundation is called Reimagining Higher Education Foundation. And Plaksha is actually on, the foundation of Plaksha is based on 4 pillars. And if you allow me, I can quickly
Go
describe
ahead.
that.
Yeah.
What
Also,
that
if you
is.
could link it with a bit of, you've been an advisor to so many startup founders and the different journeys they go through and how you've been able to advise them. And I believe one of the goals of Plaksha is also to promote entrepreneurship. Uh, so yeah, linking that with your past experience, and how's the future at Plaksha going to be like for not just entrepreneurs, but change makers and people who
Yeah.
want to make impact.
Yeah. So this might be a bit of a longish
Long question.
answer,
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
but bear with me. So, the 4 pillars of Plaksha, the first one is absolutely technology and engineering, right? And within that first pillar, there are 4 sub pillars. So this is a very nice framework, I think, developed by the National Science Foundation in the US around the future of engineering education. And they say that the four sub-pillars within the engineering pillar is what it's going to be in terms of engineering education mostly. So the first sub-pillar is around bits and bytes, so which is information technology, and now of course AI, machine learning, automation, Industry 4.0, and stuff like that, right? So the um, the machine, so to say, robotics. In fact, at Plaksha, we have a very interesting major coming up next year when we start the campus. It's called, if I remember correctly, robotics and cyber physical systems, right? So that's the first sub pillar. The second sub pillar is around the atom. So things like material science, nanotechnology and stuff like that. The third sub pillar is around the gene. So of course, biosciences, genetics, and stuff around healthcare and food and so on. And the last one, which I believe is absolutely the most fundamental sub pillar, is around the neuron. So cognitive sciences and all the other associated faculties around that, right? So this is the first pillar overall. The second one is sort of liberal arts, right? Liberal arts and sciences, and sort of having a mini Ashoka inside Plaksha, if you will. Um, so they're also, one the 21st century education at the higher education level needs to incorporate, philosophy, history, English languages, economics, and so on and so forth. The third one is around entrepreneurship, right? And that's where you were
Yeah.
mentioning that, ultimately the firm belief is that we want to create job givers and not necessarily job seekers only. And especially in this country, we need thousands of, if not tens of thousands of startups to blossom every year, so that we can lead it can lead to a lot of job creation. And we absolutely want to create the best in class, if not the best ecosystem for entrepreneurs in India at Plaksha. And the final one, final pillar, is what drives the other three and drives everything else in life, is something more around self and leadership. And we are all fortunate enough to have been born in this country. We have 5,000-7,000 years of a civilizational legacy which is so deep and fundamental. So can we educate our kids to see within first and then go out, right? So something around, it goes way beyond awareness. I mean, this is fundamental, right? So these are the four pillars. And I think with this kind of a pedagogical approach and a pedagogical platform, one could probably align very well with the 3 points that I made around younger people being aspirational, being compassionate, and also they want to solve big problems.
And that's where, a lot of your experience of working with so many young people, not just a mentor at different companies you've been at, but also as an advisor. So that's definitely an interesting introduction to Plaksha. And also I would, want to touch upon the things that you said, the aspirations of our current youth. And pretty much knowledge has no boundaries. In fact, that's what the theme of our college fair can be, and we're still toying with the idea of choosing one. What do you think is more than that? Like for you personally, as a person, you've seen that finding purpose and meaning in life, in work, in relationships is an important part of who you are. What does that mean, and how do you want to share what you know about this ideal that you have with everyone listening?
Wow, that's a difficult question, Arjun, but let me give it a shot. Um, I think I just had a personal experience, let's say 13, 14 years back, when somebody in the family fell sick, and they passed away. And at that point in time, I was also, doing exceptionally well in my career. So it was sort of a bipolar world for me in some sense, right? On one hand, one saw this success. on the other hand, one saw the pain. And that's when I got attracted. And they say, when the student is ready, the guru arrives, right? So, so sort of a guru told me to start reading up some of our older scriptures and everything. And that's when I got initiated into some of this. And I think that's where the whole transition and the whole transformation started happening. And this is still work in progress. I mean, nowhere close to being able to attain the kind of peace one wants. But that's when one thing which became very clear, that there has to be a higher purpose in everybody's life. If you truly want to be at peace, if you want to be happy, and by the way, if you want to be super successful, you always have to give first. The purpose has to be beyond yourself. So actually, one of the meanings of yoga is the height of efficiency. If you are in that state of mind, and that state of mind, when you are in that yogic state of mind, only appears when you're thinking about somebody else and not about yourself. But that state of mind is what leads to the pinnacle of success, right? No matter which dimension you take. So I think that's when I started realizing that life is short. Second, that your own success and happiness in life depends actually not on you, but on your ability to help others. And there has to be this higher purpose. And by the way, that individually for me, that was the reason why I got involved at Ashoka and then subsequently at Plaksha. Right? Because education probably has and especially in the Indian context, education has the highest multiplier effect on our country.
Thank you so much for such a fascinating session and talk. I'm sure there are listeners, viewers who would want to send in questions. We will make this video available during the fair, and there will be a chat box where you can send in your questions. So feel free to do that, everyone. And thank you again, Ashish. So long, and see you again.
Okay, thank you, and all the best for your conference.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.